Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll hear from the Randy James Band. But first, joining me now is a guest from Valley City with an unusual job title, joyologist. Well, Jody Ray Inkstead. Jody, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
As we get started first, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background, maybe where you're from.
Well, I was born and raised right here in North Dakota. I was raised in Harwood, but moved to Kindred. And would you believe that in Kindred, North Dakota, as you drove into town, was a gigantic sign that said, Kindred, North Dakota, where kindness is a way of life.
Wow. Well, that may fit what we're going to talk about today. So how did you become a joyologist?
So that happened quite by happenstance, but it was really fitting. So I wasn't working for a little bit, for maybe 3 months, and my husband said, Jody, you need to go back out to be with the people. So I applied for a job on the internet up in a tiny village called Cooperstown, North Dakota, at Griggs County Care Center. And when I walked in to speak with the administrator there, her name is Nikki Johnson, she said, you know, I'm really looking for somebody who can fulfill my dream of becoming what I want to term a joyologist for our residents. But what she didn't know at that time was my email address was jodyjoys@gmail.com, because I believed I wanted to be a joyologist. So she put the name to what I always felt I wanted to be.
Okay, well, what is a joyologist? People out there probably go, what is this about? What is a joyologist?
A joyologist is a person who, first, I think it has to be innate in you. You know, you have to be born with some force of this joy that I'm going to share with people. And so I do. I wake up every morning to share joy with people who maybe it doesn't come so easily to. And I do that in a whole menagerie of different ways.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that as we go along. But one of the reasons we invited you here today was I understand that you received a $100,000 prize, one of only 7 in the country. Tell us about that.
Okay, I'll tell you about it. So, do you want me to start from the beginning?
That's fine.
And just tell the story? Okay, so apparently last December or January, Ellen DeGeneres from The Ellen Show came on TV. My husband has an at-home business, and he never takes a break. But this particular day, he got tired, and he went out to the living room love seat, and he turned the TV on, and it just happened to be set to the Ellen DeGeneres Show. And she was speaking already about the Kind Foundation and this award, and she said she was taking nominations for people who went out of their way to do kind things for others. And my husband, and this still wigs me out, he took it upon himself to nominate me. So he did that, and I had no idea. And then one day, I think it might have been in March or April, I was sitting on that same love seat, and it was a Sunday afternoon, or mid-afternoon, yeah, and I was going through my emails, and it said, Jody Ray Inkstead, please contact us. You've been nominated for an award, and we need to talk to you. So then I typed back immediately, excuse me, are you spam? And they wrote back, no, we're not spam. You've really been nominated, and we need to speak to you. And so they did. We had a phone interview, and they told me that my husband had nominated me. But I have to tell you this, you're a man, and so sometimes we don't know what you see in us women and what you see us doing in our lives. My husband had mentioned so many little things that I had done that I myself forgot I had done. So winning this award wasn't just about winning the money or the notoriety for it. It grew my love for my husband for real, because it made me see that he sees me. He doesn't just see me, he sees the little things I do, and that touched my heart.
So what's been your reaction since you heard from the grant, and what do you plan to do with the money?
Okay, so I was driving home from a doctor's appointment, or kind of a bad doctor's appointment. I found out I had a bone disease. And I was driving home kind of just thinking about life and how my life was going to change because of this. And I got the call from the Kind Foundation. There was a team of people in their office in New York City telling me that, Jody, we are calling to update you on the Kind Award. I knew I was in the running, but didn't know this was going to happen. And they said, we just wanted to hear your reaction because you are one of the $100,000 winners. And then I couldn't talk. And I was pulled over. This is kind of funny. Kind of weird, but kind of funny. I pulled over. I think I was somewhere near Emden, North Dakota, maybe is where I pulled off, somewhere over there. And they told me I won $100,000, which in itself is extremely life-changing. And then this is what came out of my mouth. After a good 60 seconds of pause, I said, and I was crying very strongly, I said, I'm pulled over next to a bean field and a gopher just stood up and he's staring at me like he knows. That's what I said to the people in New York City. I didn't even know if any of them had ever seen a bean field, but I was just so grateful. And they picked up on that and said, Jody, we're gonna let you go and process this, and then we'll call you in a day or two. So I went home, and before I went home, I went to a gas station and got one of those candy bars. That's 100,000 grand or 100 grand candy bars. And when I made my husband chicken that night, I put that candy bar on his plate. Well, he's never seen a candy bar on his plate. So he moved it off and I said, oh, don't you want 100 grand? And he said, no, I want chicken. So I put it back on. Pushed off, he said, Jody, stop it. I don't want that candy bar. And I said, so you don't want 100 grand? And then he said, are you trying to tell me something? And so it was life-changing, and I'll get into how life-changing in a minute.
Okay. So again, what do you plan to do with the money?
Okay, this is the question. I can't wait to answer this. I'm 50 years old, and I never got to have babies of my own. And this has been, I think when you're a little girl and you're playing with dollies and Barbie dolls, you always expect that you'll just have children of your own. It just didn't work for me. So right now we're living in a 1-bedroom rented farm home north of Valley City. It's not enough room for kids. We're getting a house, and I get to foster children, and I get to foster kindness in them so they grow to keep this movement going. And that's huge. I mean, when you're a woman like me who doesn't have kids, and then the Kind Foundation comes in, gives me this award, and changes my whole projection of my life, our lives, and we get to do more good in the world because of it, this is a huge movement.
That's great. So you're going to put it to good use, it sounds
Very
like.
good use.
Well, let's move on now and talk about what you do as a joyologist and why you, of course, you got the prize. You go into nursing homes and assisted living, is that correct?
That's correct. So I work at Griggs County Care Center up in Cooperstown, North Dakota. And I'm one of those perky, looking forward to Monday morning people who kind of annoy other human beings. I just am. I was born this way, right? And so when I open the door to the nursing home, it's like all of the love I get from them comes flooding to me right away. And so I usually walk into a full dining room of residents eating their breakfast. And I'm loud in the morning. Good morning, Griggs County Care Center. How are you doing? And so I say their name and how are you doing? And I touch their hands. When you do this to somebody in the morning, that touch, one little touch starts a lot of energy in people, right? And healing touch is important to me in the morning too because A, it helps me too when somebody touches my hand and holds it, but B, a lot of those elderly people only get touched when they're having cares done to them. They only get touched when they're putting their false teeth in or washing them, but they don't get healing, kind touch. So that's part of being a joyologist. It's looking somebody in the eye, not just glancing, but really looking at them and listening. You have to be patient with elderly people. You know, they don't get to the point sometimes and they can't form their words. Joyology is just being present in somebody's life in a very kind and loving way that really doesn't need words. For instance, a little wink like that, a wink can change a whole day and maybe even a life to a complete stranger.
Wow. Do you exclusively do Griggs County facility or do you go to other places?
I go to other places on my own, but not as a paid joyologist, yeah. So I just came back from Long Beach, California at an assisted living home there where they had set themselves up for an activity, but they didn't have anybody to really lead these people in being active and joyful during the activity. So I was only invited there to visit an elderly person, and then I ended up kind of taking over that show because I had to. They were just sitting there like this, and I thought, you know, they need to start clapping and snapping their fingers and hooting and hollering, and so that's what I got them doing.
Wow. All right. Well, tell us about something recently over Christmas. I understand the Meet Us for Christmas.
Oh, this is kind of sad, but it turned out really, really amazing. A couple years ago, I was shopping in the grocery store, and I walked by the meat aisle, and there was a sign that said something like, beware, this aisle under video surveillance. So first I checked my lipstick because I thought, well, if I'm on video, I want to make sure that looks good. Then my heart got stuck there and I thought, why would just this aisle be under video surveillance? So I went to the manager, it was a woman manager, and I said, why is that sign there? And she said, oh, Jody, so many elderly people in our community are stealing meat. And I said, you know what? Don't call the police on them. Call me. I'll find a way to get them meat. That was then. But that continued. These are people in our community who would never ask for help. They're not the people who will go to social services or churches or food banks because they're of a prideful generation. So I had some secret elves help me with some names of people who really needed that meat. And together with friends just helping me as a team, I was led to start the ministry, but it's kindness of a whole sea of people or a tribe of people who helped us gather enough money to stock many freezers completely filled with meat. So these elderly people have enough. And that was important to me, not just to give them a pound of bacon and a piece of hamburger meat. I wanted them to have enough to get them through the next at least few months. And we accomplished that.
Well, good for you. And another story, I think, how about Ruth? Someone who you encountered that was sort of dumped into a home by her family, and how did you help her?
Okay, so Ruth was what's termed in this industry as elder dumped. That means that she was placed in a nursing home, all of her worldly possessions and her home were sold, and then that family never visited her again. They didn't want anything to do with her at that point. It's kind of like taking a dog to a pound. And how sad is that? A dog is one thing, a human is another. And so I befriended Ruth and started to find out what her likes and dislikes were, and she just loved to knit and crochet. So at Christmas time, I always say I'm led. I get these feelings that I must take an action towards. I don't know where it comes, well, I do know where it comes from, but I have to take an action. So I took an action to what I was led to do, and I started my very first yarn ministry for Ruth. Put it on Facebook. I have this friend, she'd like some yarn for Christmas. Can you send her some yarn? I got yarn all the way from Australia, all the way from Washington State and Virginia and New York City. People just started to give and give. They didn't just give yarn to Ruth. They gave her greeting cards and fingernail polish and gift cards. But you know what they really gave her? A purpose to live. That's what they gave her. All because of a little yarn ministry was started.
Wow. The family dumping thing, is this a big problem with families sort of taking them to a home and then sort of almost forgetting about them?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that.
Okay.
I've seen it a few times. And sometimes I don't even think it happens on purpose. I think that once people put an elderly person in a home, they just go on living. And at that point, as people age, maybe it's hard for them to see their grandma and grandpa or mom and dad aging. So they tend to flee sometimes. But I can also tell you there's another side to that, and those are many, many, many families just really embrace those elderly people who are in homes, and they visit very often.
Okay, sure. Tell us about another program, I understand, the $2 Magic Bill Ministry program.
Yes. So I love homeless people. I have a heart for homeless people. A lot of people watching this are going to disagree. They're going to say, oh, they're panhandling and they could get a job. Let me say this. How easy do you think it is to stand on a street corner for 8 and 9 hours a day when it's 30 degrees or below zero in North Dakota, right? So we don't know their story, and we can't assume we do. A lot of times you hear people say, oh, that's a drug addict. I'm not giving my money to a drug addict. We don't know what happened to them. And so my $2 bill ministry is I take $2 bills from the bank, and so I believe highly in God, and I pray a blessing on them, and then I pull my car over and I hand the $2 bill to the homeless person, and I say, this is a magic $2 bill. It's special just like you are. Now you have some choices to make with this $2 bill, and I'm going to trust you with those choices. But first I ask you to just eat something, drink something, and find yourself shelter for tonight. And that has proved to be a really neat ministry. One homeless man found me on Facebook after I gave him my $2 bill. and so we've been friends ever since. So that's kind of neat.
Well, it sounds like it. You know, we don't have a whole lot of time left, but what would you change, if anything, about elder care in this country and how the elderly are sometimes treated?
Thank you for asking that question. Long-term care is the most regulated of everything in the whole world. It's regulated more than oil and gas. There's too many regulations, and so nurses and caregivers and activity directors and dietary staff, we're unable to give optimal quality of care because there's so many regulations we have to follow that make us be on the computer instead of hands-on care. And so I would implore our Congress people to please do something about all of those regulations so we can get back to one-on-one, hands-on care again, and not worrying about checking boxes on a computer that really, some of them don't even make sense.
Okay. Do you believe most people are kind or not?
I do believe most people are kind. I often say that. I think unkind people are just really kind people who haven't been hugged enough. But I think we all have the capacity to be kind. It's a choice. In some of us, it's stronger than others, but I think for the most part, everybody has kindness in them.
Yeah. What's been the reaction so far to sort of your joyologist position and then the notoriety you've received recently?
So much love. I mean, so much love. I want to accept this gracefully, but it's so difficult because I'm not doing anything different in my own life, and they're awarding me $100,000 for doing the right thing. And that's hard to take mentally, you know. I'm so grateful though because it's helping me to change the lives of these foster kids I'm gonna take on. I told you that. The reaction of my friends and family have been nothing but joy overflowing, and they've just really embraced this winning, so.
You know, you mentioned some people, but are there any more people you can talk about you've encountered and maybe what you've done for them in addition to the things you've already told us?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest things that impacted my life was we were driving in California and I needed bacon. And you know when a girl needs bacon, we need it. So we pulled over at a Burger King. It was the first place that had bacon, and walked into the bathroom, and I encountered a very homeless woman who you could smell before you could see. And I had just stayed at a very boushy Marriott hotel and gotten the nicest little Paul Mitchell samples, you know, and so I went to my car and I got everything I could find for her. And I presented it to her and I asked, would you like to wash your hair? So I gave her that Paul Mitchell shampoo, you know, and that smells good. And when you smell good, you feel better. So then I went out and found my husband sitting with this woman's male mate. And we had breakfast together. And they told us a very true, raw story of their lives. And they were both methamphetamine addicts. Were very true and real about their situation. And we just got to share breakfast with them and then to share our hearts and to share our hopes for them. And then I gave her my pink sunglasses I had just bought. And I just hoped that that would bless her. So, but that impacted me. I just thought that could be me one day in a bathroom, unkept, and I just thought I would wish somebody to give me shampoo and perfume and sunglasses too.
Jody, I have to ask, have you been this way all your life, or did something really change to make you this way?
I think I'm probably always been this way, but I've had a lot of hard times too, and that just kind of makes this easier to be this way now.
Okay. Well, if people want more information about the Kind Foundation or about you and what you do, where can they go?
Oh, always Google search, right? Of course, it's right there all over the place. And then I'm on Facebook under Facebook Jody Ray Ingstead. And please come visit me. I hope to share my positivity and my joy with whoever needs a little dose.
Thanks for joining us today so much.
Thanks so much.
Stay tuned for more. The Randy James Band from Mandan has their roots set firmly in the past with a mix of rock music and blue-collar lyrics. Yet their original creations convey a true sense of timelessness.
The way we write songs is kind of unique. Somebody might just say something in a conversation and the light bulb will basically go off in Randy's head. He'll start playing a few bars. Next thing you know, we've got a song done. We've actually challenged people when we're playing live to just pick a subject and we'll write a song right on the spot. And we've done that before, so it it really comes easy for us.
A three-piece band, you have to be pretty energetic because there's only three of you on the stage, so you got to keep moving and you got to keep the energy up and going. We've been together long enough. If Randy starts a song, I pretty much know what he's going to do, even if it's something that he's jamming on that we have never played before. So that's something that you develop over the years. It takes a while to develop that.
We all, as artists, I think, kind of go to different spots for inspiration, and we all have to eclectically go there and make it work for ourselves. And us guys, I should say, together seem to have that spark and good relationships. That's been a real inspiration. The guitars in the foreground are two of the guitars I've built. I'm always trying to be busy with my hands. I just have to I have that drive for some reason. I think it's a good thing to share with people because it inspires other people and to say, you know what, do it, go do it. With my kids, I always say, effort's one of the biggest things that people don't do is give something effort because we're always learning and we're always going forward. And it just takes effort and persistence to go after things.
It's nighttime, and the night is closing in. Take me for a fool, you know I can never win. The writing is on the wall. You take me for the line. Every day and night, it'll be alright. Written on the wall, written on the wall. No one left to call. Written on the wall. Yes, I'm in the times. It's hard to feel what you feel. Carry me away with your love. I can see it standing there. Written on the wall, written on the wall. No one left to call. I'm written on the wall. Written on the wall, written on the wall. No one left to call. Written on the wall, written on the wall, written on. Written on the wall.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. But as always, thanks for watching.
Funding provided by the North Dakota Council on the Arts and by the members of Prairie Public.